Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining Phocuswright Europe Online 2020. Please welcome Phocuswright's Managing Director, Pete Como.
Welcome to Phocuswright Innovation. Wow, what a difference a year makes. Thanks for joining us for the virtual version of Phocuswright Europe. On behalf of the entire Phocuswright team, we appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us, and we wish we were with you in Amsterdam. As the state of our world dictates, we're going to have to make the best of technology to bring us together, to see the hottest new startups, and to discuss and debate how we can best navigate the current time and prepare for recovery, which we all know will come, just not when. Whether you're joining us live or replaying this event at a time more convenient for you, we are thrilled to have you tuning in. Today is all about technology and innovation. The Summit event was created 12 years ago to give travel startups and scale-ups an opportunity to showcase their technologies and innovation in front of the industry. Past winners include Kenichi, helping business travelers by providing completely digital arrival and departure process, who was acquired by HRS last fall, and Zizu, a software-as-a-service technology and distribution marketplace for boat charters. The winner of Phocuswright Europe Summit will join us in November at the Phocuswright Conference to showcase their company on our global summit stage, which represents the best of the best travel startups globally. For some of you, this is afternoon number 3 out of 5. We kicked off Phocuswright Europe with our Young Leaders Summit this past Tuesday, where more than 25 of our industry's brightest future stars came together to network and start to map out our industry's future. Then, yesterday, we produced our Diversity in Leadership program, which brought together leaders who are impacting change in our industry on topics ranging from diversity, anti-bias and allyship, recruitment, and more. A big thanks to the Expedia Group for their support by organizing the Ally Skills Workshop, which some of you were fortunate enough to participate in. Today is Innovation Day, where you will shortly see 6 startups and 2 scale-ups who will pitch their products and companies to the audience, and a panel of dragons, as well as a couple of additional sessions. Lastly, next Wednesday and Thursday, we will produce Center Stage at Phocuswright Europe, where the leaders in the European travel industry will convene to debate and discuss where the industry goes from this point forward as we navigate this pandemic and look ahead for signs of a real, true recovery. Today, we have over 500 of you who will be watching 8 innovative pitches chosen from a pool of over 300 companies from our State of Startups database who are focused on bringing new technologies to the European travel marketplace. We applied a rigorous screening process to identify a diverse set of startups covering tours and activities, meetings and events tech, hospitality, marketing, distribution, and micro-mobility tech. The event kicks off shortly with our summit and launch programs, which include 8 pitches from a group of interesting and diverse startups and scale-ups. The startups, who are under 5 years old, will pitch during summit. They've been vetted and prepped by our analyst team here at Phocuswright with over 50 collective years of experience with startups and emerging tech. They have been coached on how to develop their pitch so you, the audience, can get a solid sense of their business and market opportunity. They will each have 5 minutes to pitch, followed by 3.5 minutes of interaction with our dragons, who will challenge their assumptions and ask them pointed questions about their business and technology. After Summit, we have 2 interesting scale-ups who are older than 5 years old, whose companies and new innovative products are poised to shape the future of our industry. They will have 6 minutes to share their companies with you, followed by a short interview with our Manager of Research and Innovation, Mike Coletta. You can also submit questions during the pitches and upvote other attendee questions. If we cannot get to your question, you can pose it directly to the innovator during the Meet the Innovator session at the end of the day. All of you will have an opportunity to vote on your favorite summit and launch presenter. So take notes and participate in the polls, which we'll post just after each session. After the pitches, we have roughly an hour's worth of programming featuring a post-game wrap-up panel discussion with our dragons, where we will discuss the companies and technologies that we saw today, plus widen our lens to a broader marketplace, and an innovation spotlight session with an early-stage company poised to have a substantial impact on our industry, which you definitely do not want to miss. The program will conclude with an award ceremony and again, the Meet the Innovators session, where you can meet with any or all of the innovators who pitched today. Summit and Launch are just two components of Phocuswright innovation. From the event side, we have battlegrounds in core global regions, and our winners of each are promoted to our summit stage at our regional and global events, which feature the best startups with no funding limits. We also produce launch competitions at each of our conferences, where companies who are older than 5 years launch new technologies and innovation. Furthermore, we have a number of partnerships in place with associations and other event producers, such as VRMA and the World Aviation Festival, where we bring startups to our pitch production on the road. Lastly, on the event side, we work with our sister company, WIT, to bring innovation programming to our Asia Pacific events, starting with the Startup Showcase, which we produced a couple of months back. On the research side, we have built a database of over 3,000 travel startups founded since 2005, which we have hand-curated into industry vertical and horizontal. We have made this database available to our open access research customers through our Focal Point visualization platform. And finally, on the Phocuswire side of the business, we cover startups in many different ways. We feature them on our Startup Stage section of the site. We curate a list of Hot 25 startups each year in the fourth quarter. And we have recorded nearly 40 episodes of the How I Got Here podcast, which features stories from startup founders and has developed quite a big following. So stop by and listen to our good friend Travis Katz, who founded GoGoBot, which became Trip.com and was acquired by Ctrip in 2017. So this episode was just posted last week. We use all of this data and content to inform how we choose which startups to feature on our stages. Over the past 10 plus years, we have screened thousands of companies. We've placed over 500 of them on our stages, and over half of them have collectively raised over 3.5 billion euro in funding, and 84 of them have been acquired. So what is the current state of travel startups? Well, that becomes the tale of two stories, or maybe three stories, pre-pandemic, and then during, and then post-pandemic. If we consider the last 5+ years for the purpose of this analysis, we look at over 1,000 startups who collectively have raised over $6 billion in funding during this time frame globally. It's important to note that we pulled out ride-sharing, taxi-hailing, and cycle-sharing startups from this analysis, as a lot of their business is local rather than travel-related. So here we see that funding has been rising dramatically since 2015, nearly tripling from 15 to 16, and nearly doubling again from 17 to 18. And 2019 was by far the biggest year in history for travel startups in terms of dollars invested, jumping from 1.5 billion USD in 2018 to over 2 billion in 2019. And the first quarter of 2020 started out exceptionally strong, with more than $800 million raised, although $500 million of that was by just one corporate travel startup, Trip Actions. So 2020 began with really good potential, but naturally, as the pandemic set in, funding activity has decreased. And, we've actually seen some raises during the pandemic. Sonder, for example, who shifted their focus during the pandemic to expand their marketplace beyond just 7-night travel stays, announced 170 million USD Series E back in June. So as we look a little bit deeper into the numbers, while the total funding has increased since 2015, the number of funding rounds has remained relatively flat and even decreased a bit in 2019. The trend of a smaller number of later stage companies receiving larger rounds is real, and less money is available for the earlier stage companies. So we expect this trend to continue through the pandemic as investors are trying to protect their portfolio companies to get them to the other side of the crisis. The Sonder round is a perfect example of this trend. But early stage entrepreneurs always seem to find a way to buck the trend, and some of the most innovative companies will be founded during this time of crisis. We're certain of it. Airbnb, who's now marching toward an IPO, is a perfect example of this. All right, so enough introductions. Let's get on with the show. Up first, Summit. We have 6 pitches, and each will have 5 minutes to pitch their innovation, followed by 3.5 minutes with the Dragons. The Dragons will challenge their assumptions and dig in and uncover holes as well as opportunities. So how do we evaluate which companies have the opportunity to pitch today? We've developed 6 criteria to help us determine which startups are most promising. We look at technical innovation, their business model innovation, the size of the market opportunity, the ability of the founder to sell his or her company and concept, the quality of the team, and lastly, the potential to create true breakthrough value in the industry. This is a criteria that the judges and Dragons will use to score the companies, and as you decide who to vote for People's Choice, you should consider these points as well. So we've put together a stellar group of Dragons to help us evaluate who is most likely to succeed, and it's my pleasure to introduce them to you. We have Susanna Chu, Head of Amadeus Ventures at Amadeus IT Group. Sasha Hausman, Partner from How's That Partners. And lastly, Fergal Mooney, Board Director, Meetings Booker. And here are the startups who will be pitching today. Distribution, Hotelmize, Gamity, Ocus, Prontopia, and IOMob, who is the winner of the battleground at TTE.